In this video, I want to go through the Arrange window tools and give you an overview of what they each do. And I just want to mention again that the tools are slightly different in these different pop-up editors. There's some tools that are the same and some that are different. They function differently, and we'll look at them when we get into those editors. All right, the pointer tool I'm not going to cover again. We've looked at it extensively throughout the videos. So let's start with the next one, Escape Pencil tool. When you click on this on a MIDI track, it'll create a new empty region. It'll do the same thing on an audio track, but it's not really any use on an audio track because you can't really use blank regions on audio tracks. But that's how you can create a blank region if you want to generate data, let's say in one of the editors. You can start with a blank region like that. And once you have this pencil tool and you create the blank region, you can click at the end and have it turn into the resize tool, and at the beginning as well. I'm going to delete that. And another interesting thing you can do with the pencil tool is you can shift click on an audio track and you get a file selector box to add an audio file directly into the Arrange window. Now you can also get this with the regular pointer tool if you just do a contextual menu click, and if you right click or control click there, you get add audio file, and same thing, create empty MIDI region on a MIDI track. So that'll do the same thing as the pencil tool. And let's look at the next one, the eraser tool. This is kind of anachronistic, a little throwback to the past. No one really uses this anymore, but it's basically for deleting regions. You can click on it and click that to delete it. I'm going to go Command Z to undo. And I wouldn't waste my time with the eraser tool. Just hit the delete key on your keyboard. Next tool is the text tool. You can rename regions directly in the Arrange window here by clicking there, clav, like that. And you can rename like that, and you can rename multiple regions by selecting multiple ones like that. Clav 1, and that calls that clav 2. They're numbered sequentially when you end the name off with a number. Text tool. Next one is the scissor tool. This is a powerful tool. As you'd expect, this will allow you to divide regions, so it turns into a scissor tool. You click hold, and you can scrub around. This is actually a good time to look at this help tag. Let me click undo. I'm going to click hold this. Now, this yellow info tag gives us a lot of good information. First of all, we have the command that it's doing. It says divide, as opposed to, let's say, moving or copying. It tells you the command that's being executed. Let's do that again. There we go. Then you have the number 3, which is telling us which track it is. It's on the 3rd track. Clav 2 is the name of the region. 6411 is the position of where the cursor is now and where the cut's going to be made. And then it disappears after a few seconds. There we go. And then we have 4000 indicating the length of the region. So these help tags are useful. And when you're trying to scroll around to find where you want to cut, you see the position updates as I'm scrolling. So let's say I want to click there on the 7th bar, 2nd beat. I can release the mouse, and there it's divided it there. So I'm going to click undo, Command Z. And another extremely useful function of the scissor tool is that when you hold down the Option key, it will divide the region into equal lengths of the initial area that you're cutting. So for example, if I hold down the Option key, you see it turns into that little plus sign there, meaning it's going to do a multiple division. I'm going to click hold, and it says divide multiple. And if I click there at 611, it's going to divide 1 bar, and then it'll divide all the subsequent remaining area of the region into 1 bar increments as well. Like that. So it's really useful for chopping up data. I'm going to click Command Z again to undo. Scissor tool, and the same thing works on MIDI regions. Next tool, the glue tool. As you would expect, this is used to combine regions together. Again, I wouldn't really bother with this tool because there are key commands that do it just as well. You can use the merge regions key command, which is Control equal. But just to show you how this works, if I try and select 2 different audio files like this and shift click on this, it's going to ask me if I want to create a new audio file. I'm going to click cancel for now, but that's how you can merge files together. And with MIDI regions, if I click there, it just joined it into one long region to turn the looped area into a real copy and combine it all together to be one long region. I'm going to click Command Z again to undo. So the glue tool, but the key command is Control equals, and that'll do the same thing. So I'd suggest just using that key command, Command Z, undo. Next tool we have is the solo tool. This is powerful. This is like an interesting scrub tool, and it'll allow you to scrub at variable speed over audio files. And over MIDI as well. So good for identifying specific locations that you want to locate to. Next tool we have is the mute tool. Very powerful, turns to a little M and it'll mute specific regions, and toggling it again will unmute them, and you can select multiple ones like that and do the same thing. And again, there's a key command for that, so I would just use the key command, and that's M for mute. And just to digress for a moment, we rename these regions. If we look in the audio bin, you'll see they're renamed there as well. So another way of renaming regions. Next, we have the zoom tool. This is a powerful tool. What you do is click, hold, and draw a rectangle around the area that you want zoomed in on. And this functions differently depending on whether you draw vertically or horizontally. I'll show you. Say I draw like that. It zooms in on that area. Now to step backwards, you just click in the background. So I'll draw more this way. And you'll see it elongates it. Click in the background. And if you do several steps like that, you can step backwards by each single click in the background. Now, as powerful as this tool is, I wouldn't suggest using it because there's a permanent key command assigned to it. I'm going to double hit escape to go back to it. And what you do is hold down Control and Option, and you permanently have the zoom tool available. So you can zoom like that easily. Once we're on zooming here, let me digress and go over a couple of my favorite zoom key commands for you. There are zoom scroll bars here in the corners of the window, but I wouldn't suggest using those. They're labor intensive. What you can do is use the Control and Option keys with the up and down arrows to zoom like that. And you can keep your finger down and get continuous zooming like that. And as well, you can use the left and right arrow keys to zoom horizontally like that. And additionally, we have an auto track zoom key command where you can hit Control Z, and that will zoom individual tracks, and you can set what size you want the track to be rezoomed at by clicking this little pointer tool at the bottom and doing that. Or you can do the individual track zoom settings, which is all three modifiers with the up and down arrow keys. And then you toggle it with Control Z. Very useful. Another interesting zoom key command is just Z alone. Now when you have nothing selected, what it'll do is zoom to fit all the contents to one page. So I'll hit Z, and it fits all the contents into one viewable area, and Z again will toggle it back. And what's even more interesting is if you have a selection made, it'll zoom just that selection to fill the contents of the viewable area. Like that. So a really useful way of zooming in on one region if you want to get in to do some fine editing. So some useful zoom key commands. What else do we have here? The crossfade tool. All right, this is interesting. We looked at the fade command when we had the pointer tool up in the area there, but when you have just the fade tool, it performs another function and allows you to do crossfades. There, you see there's a little sideways V. That's the fade tool, and it'll allow you to draw a fade in like that. I'm going to click Command Z and undo. But what's interesting is I'm going to zoom here. It'll allow you to crossfade between two regions that are butted together like that. So that's interesting. And as well, you can use modifiers to control the shape of it. You can go Control Shift to control the weighting of the curve. There we go, like that. To weight it and make them non-equal powered, but weight it more to one side or the other. And if you Option click, you can get rid of it. And same thing at the beginning, when you draw a fade in, you can use the Control Shift key to weight it. And you don't even need to use those modifiers now when you're in the zone for the fade tool mode. But that's how that works. And I'm going to click back there with Option and Control to step back. What else do we have here? Automation Select and Automation Curve tools. I'm not going to look at those right now. They have to do specifically with track automation modes. The Marquee tool we've seen, it serves so many functions that I can't go into them all in this one video, but they're useful for locating. As we saw, they're useful for selecting areas, for playback areas. You can select an area for region and hit delete just to delete that area. I'm going to click Command Z and undo. You can select an area like that, hit back to the pointer tool and Option click just to divide and move that area of the selection without altering the original, which is really powerful. Let me delete that. And it does so much more. You can make a selection and you can crop around it by using Control C. I'm going to hit Command Z and undo. And you can use it for setting punch-in points and a whole lot more. What else do we have here? The Flex tool. This we're going to look at separately, and this deals with when you're dividing audio up by transients and using pitch shifting and time stretching and compressing algorithms in the arrange window, but we'll look at that separately. So that's an overview of all the basic tools. Learn them, experiment, and I'll see you for more next time.